gonna check my teeth. I had to eat my lunch real quick. You know, I was checking them just make sure there's nothing in my teeth. You ever have one of those days where it's like, oh, I forgot to eat? When should I do that? Oh, I got an idea. Let's do it like 5 minutes before I go live. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us. This is MBartist Live. I'm your host, Stephen Ahola. Not only am I a host, but I also am an art director here at MBartist. I was an artist at one time. Now I just know enough to get in trouble. Isn't that correct, Jamie? Also, I want to let everybody know that if you were here and you saw our nice little opening, la 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 la, I got to give props out. My cousin Joshua Cunningham wrote that from scratch. Very cool little ditty. And if you ever get a chance, go check him out on Facebook. I do know he's got a webpage out there in the ether. Joshua Cunningham, very cool. He's trying to break into the industry to do scores. And I guess I used my family pull to get some work done. So there we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, right now it's welcome. Basil's with us. Basil, how you doing, sir? As per usual, it's the Johnny Carson and Ed McMahon show here to start off. We have pop art extraordinaire and originer of the villains line, Mr. Jamie Coker. Mr. Coker, how you doing, sir?
I'm good. Yeah, dude. Fully recovered from the weekend. Just trying to get started on going back on the artwork again, getting back in that feel. Yeah.
So you've done about a handful of shows now, and oh, look at that! Just like that, our duo became a trio.
Sorry to break the party, guys.
No, that's okay. How you doing today? How's life out there on the West Coast?
It's good. It's getting sunnier. It was supposed to rain a lot, but it's not, so that's good.
So here's an interesting, going from left to right, we've got East Coast, Central Time, and West Coast. There we go.
We plan it like that.
There we go. Until Mustafa jumps in, and then everything just goes kind of.
He's gonna break it all.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is how it works. We are the artists of MBartist, and we are here just to chat about art and all sorts of other things. But we want to hear from you. What questions might you want to ask artists? Do you want to ask us about our process? Do you want to ask us about specific pieces that we've done, shows that we go to, any pop culture conversations? And there is one thing I do have a theme for today that's leveraged off of a conversation we did last week. So once we get through the house, what do they call it? The house cleaning notes. The housekeeping notes. Thank you. Housekeeping notes. My brain finally caught up to my thought. We will continue our conversation. Last week, if you were here for episode 11, we talked about our experiences on the original trilogy and our first experiences with Star Wars. Today, we're going to talk about the prequels.
Meaning the three very bats that follow the first three ones.
We're going to talk about prequels.
Okay. So before we do Star Wars talking, I just want to point it out that it's fun that the three people that are here now at this moment, we have been working from animation to cards to games for like table games. And then illustrations and few comics, but we are kind of like the rest of the group. Like their main thing is comics, right? And for us, we have been working like in other stuff as well. So that's pretty fun.
I guess we're the outliers, right?
Yeah, because if you're interested in talking about something else that is not just only, I love comics. Don't get me wrong. I would love just working full time in comics, but we also bring other experience, like what is about to work in cards, like illustrations for cards, right? Jamie have done a bunch of those. And that's a pretty cool thing because a lot of people that wants to start in the industry, they doesn't necessarily start in comics, but they start in something else. And also animation. Steven has worked like for major animation companies, so he has like that experience like from first hand. And I have worked in a bunch of 2D and mostly 3D animation products and movies. So it's like other experience that we can also bring to the table. So see, we can talk also about that. And I know that we three loves comics as well.
Well, not to squeeze Jamie out of the conversation. I think it would be really cool if you and I were able to have a conversation, because my experience about working in an animation studio is basically dated by about 20 years, where yours is current. So it'd be interesting to see what the world was like in my time, because I entered the industry literally on the cusp of the digital age. So I remember when I was at Sheridan College, we literally did all of our work on the Bolex cameras they used for Rocket Robin Hood from the 1970s.
Oh.
So that's how I cut my teeth. And literally in year 3, I went out and bought my first computer, and they had a software, and I basically built an overhead camera holder so that I could use as a registration, so that I could do it through
Oh wow!
through computer. Oh yeah, it was so laborsome. It was just as bad as like how you remember how images would download one line at a time.
Yeah, no, but part of the cool stuff when you're like working or when you're like in the middle of when something is new is getting and something that was doing a certain way is stop being that way. It's like you have to become very clever to create your own things to do cool stuff. Like uh, something similar but different is like now if you want to scan something, probably you can have a scanner at home that is 11 by 17, and you just put the whole large thing there and scan it in once, just one click. But before you have to or go to a place or have one of the small ones and scan it by parts and then put them together. So when you are like in that middle, it makes you resourceful. It makes you like, how can I do this? So it's cool. Like it gets your brain.
I go even further than that. I used to be able to do magic on a photocopier. Like I can't tell you how much money I spent on doing magic on photocopiers and making a portfolio look like beautiful. Like I think Kinkos were my best friend.
That's fun. That's fun. With
so let's go through our featured art prints, because we've got some questions coming in already. And before you that, so here's how old I am. Look at that. That's an actual official Nelvana drawing table that I was able to score on my way out the door. I don't know if you remember. Do you remember movies like Rock and Roll, Droids, Ewoks, Care Bears, the movie? That was all done on this board. Beetlejuice.
Oh, so you have a vintage table, not an old table.
I have a vintage table. Definitely.
Remember, that's the fancy word to say old, but nice.
That's what I tell my kids. My kids go, "You're old." I said, vintage. We are vintage.
No, kid, I'm vintage. That makes me cool now.
But to my wife, I'm classic. All right, let's walk through some featured art prints, guys, and then we'll get to your questions. Here they are, all 9. Number 1 is we've got the final in the trilogy for Bob McLeod's Craven Hunt. That's available today. We have a very cool werewolf one, Creepy Connie by Chad Hardin. Francine, this is the 3rd of your trilogy. Tell us about this one.
Oh, this is fun. It's like I did this trilogy when I was matching up 2 of my favorite IPs. One is Batman. You can clearly see Batman and Catwoman there with the little cat. And then probably if you were a girl on the 90s, that was super popular, an anime called Sailor Moon. Or if you have a sister, or if you have any woman around you on the 90s that likes TV, probably you know what Sailor Moon is. And I think it's still being very popular now, even with the younger kids. But in the 90s was a crazy, crazy, crazy thing. So I did this mashup, Sailor Moon, Batman, and I was doing the main character of Sailor Moon, Serena, or Sailor Moon, as Catwoman, and her love interest, Tuxedo Mask as Batman. So it's like Batman Tuxedo and Sailor Selena.
I love the ears at the top of the top hat.
That's cool.
I was thinking about what to do because the guy's name is Tuxedo Mask, and he used that. That is like kind of his signature brand, like a guy in a tuxedo, and he always have like the hat, long hat. So he throws away and do something with a rose. Very girl anime thing. But I was thinking like, should I put it on or not? Should I put it on or not? And I think I first drew it without it. And then my boyfriend passed by and told me like, he needs the hat. And that's the only thing he said, and he left it. Damn it, he needs the hat. even he, that he was not into Sailor Moon, he was like, needs the hat. Like,
there you go. All right, next one. Okay, Jamie. Everybody knows who this is.
Oh yeah, Pennywise. So this one's a few years old. The first images of Bill Skarsgård came down as Pennywise, and I know that there was some ambivalence, hesitation by some of the fans of the Tim Curry version of Pennywise, but I think that for the most part, he really bought people. He totally convinced them that he was the right person. And I know when the first time I saw him do that eye thing, which he can do in real life just by relaxing the muscles in his eye, I was like convinced. I was like, I need to draw this dude. This dude is something else. With a funny story about this one. So a lady at a show actually bought this one, and she goes, I'm going against my better instincts because I hate clowns. And she thought, I love this. I love the way this looks. So I was like, well, what are you going to do with it? And I found out that she later put it, her bedroom opens up the door. And so right down the hallway, she turns, and right at the end of the hallway, she has it in a frame at the end of the hallway. And so in talking about it, it was like, well, some people go jogging to get their blood pumping first in the morning. Some people drink coffee. Whatever. Some people do yoga. She just comes out of her bedroom, sees Pennywise at the end of the hallway, and that gets the heart going. So I thought that was a really cool thing that she ended up doing with it.
You should contact her and say, if you really want to get your heart going, get the 40x60 of this thing. All right, so we've got Pennywise available today, folks. What else do we got? We've got James C. Mulligan's Lion King.
Cool.
We've got Chamber of Chills by Joseph Rubinstein.
Nice.
We've got John Hebert's version of Chamber of Chills.
Very cool.
We've got Mustafa Musa, who's surprisingly not here yet. I wonder what's keeping him today. His second half of his multiple personality of Harley Quinn.
Very cool.
And another Crypt Keeper. All right, get that out of here. So, there's Mustafa. Mustafa's watching. That's a lot of Harley. Yeah, that's a Harley smorgasbord, if you don't ask me. All right, so those are our featured art prints, guys. So you're saying, Steven, how can I get these beautiful artwork? All right, there's 3 ways. Number 1, you ask a question. You get a ticket for a draw. You got to be here, and if we pull your name at the end of the show, you can pick one of the 9. Number 2, you can say, I want it now. Put claim whichever one you want, and the lovely Love Jeet out in the pit will take care of you. And number 3, you go to MBartist.com. We have these there right now. You fill your boots and you'll get free shipping, whether you want an art print, a canvas, or a platinum. So that's how you can get one of these fine featured art prints. But wait, there's more. Not only do we have our featured art prints, but we are really pushing our Series 5, which is right now in pre-sale. And let's see if I can go. There we go. Our Series 5 is coming out to ready for shipping. May the 4th be with you. But it's available for pre-order up on MBartist.com. So very cool stuff. We've got our Golden Age tribute for this series is the Famous Funnies. We focused on the Buck Rogers covers, which was one of the inspirations for George Lucas's Star Wars. And then everything this month is a Star Wars theme. Our 8 exclusives, and then our entire archive.
Or something that inspires Star Wars, as the Buck Rogers covers.
That's right. So here we go. We're just going to quick run through. Some of these are still in production. You got Bob McLeod's Lando. You got Boba Fett's. You got Chad Harden's Gunslinger. Check it out. Look, we've updated it, Francine. It's in color. And congratulations, Francine. You've gotten 2 pre-orders in one day on last Friday on this piece. Very cool. Speaking of
I did this quick video on Instagram just like to show the guys. Like I didn't even have like the real image on color, of course, because it's in pre-production. So I showed it in the iPad. And a couple of people said like, "Oh, we're gonna pre-order it." So yes, thank you for doing that, guys.
It's a very cool piece. And speaking of pre-orders, the latest villains. This is number 6, 5 or 6. This one,
6.
Number 6, Darth Vader is sizzling, guys. If you're looking for an early number of Darth Vader, bye-bye. And as you can see in the upper corner there, guys, we only do 100 canvases, 100 platinums, and 100 art prints. So if you want to get one of these bad boys, you got to get on board quick. Down there in the lower left-hand corner, you'll see James C. Mulligan's latest Starlet, Hollywood Starlet. He did Carrie Fisher to go with his Marilyn Monroe and his Breakfast at Waltz. A very cool Star Wars #1 recreation by John Hebert. And then look what we finally got in. Patch Adams himself, Mr. Rubenstein. Finally sent me a preview. It's an amazing painting, guys. Like this painting in life, I think he said it's like 24 by 36. But if you like, this doesn't do it justice. The detail in there, you got your Slave Leia, you've got your Ben Kenobi, your Yoda, your Solo. When this is done, the original is just gonna be an investment piece for years to come. Very cool stuff. And then we've also got a very cool space western, The Mandalorian, by Mustafa Musa. Let's flip it over real quick, and then we got to get to some questions. So there we go, guys. Real quick, there's as you can see, some are still in process, but we've got some really cool stuff coming in terms of the archive. Really suggest if you want to check out our Star Wars stuff, go to MBartist.com. It's all there under May the 4th, but it's also right there on the first main page under the pre-order. Anyways, let's catch up on the questions. Housekeeping complete. All right, here we go. Basil, Fran, your reaction to the prequels is priceless. Why don't you like the prequels?
For the same reason that any sane person doesn't like them. No, I don't know. I think, as I mentioned last week, I wasn't a very big fan of Star Wars growing up, and I just got into it basically with the animated series. So when the prequels was the prequels time, I was not still allowed into Star Wars, but I could remember stuff, and I could remember how my dad really loved this Darth Vader character, and so I remember some stuff. And then I go to watch these movies, and I see oh yeah, cool. I love prequels. Prequels is always my favorite part of almost anything. So I think oh, this is gonna be very cool. You're gonna see how this bad boy was when he was a kid, and he was, oh my god, he's an adorable kid or whatever. And then oh, wait a second. So this kid, and things doesn't make sense on what was happening, and so everything in the movie was weird. And then I find out that the friend, kind of the nanny of the kid, was gonna become her lover. And what the shit is happening? What is this? And everything else.
And dubbed in Spanish. So let me set up the narrative, and I'll give you a little bit of my little take on it, and then we'll throw it over you to Jamie to get your first impressions of it. So episode 1 was the most hyped movie in cinematic history. No movie was, other than Jedi. I guess you could say Jedi, but the thing is, you had to wait 4 years between Empire and Jedi, which was a long pregnant pause, especially when you're my age. I think I was 8. So a year is an eon. However, with that said, you had from 1984 till 1999 when episode 1 came up. And then when they announced it, the hype machine just went overboard. So for all you young folks out there was an actual magazine called Cinescape. Either of you guys remember the magazine Cinescape?
I do remember that one, yeah.
So it was a science a science fiction movie magazine, and they did this. I still have the magazine, and they did this like what we predict the prequels to be, and it was basically, and because George Lucas always said that the episodes 1 to 3 was supposed to be a Greek tragedy, and it was going to be based on the narrative of Othello, which was supposed to be very dark. And I was so they basically said this is what we think is going to happen, and you're reading this, and I was like, oh my god, this is so cool, this is so cool, this is so cool. How the hell are you going to sell toys? and then this is when Power of the Forest, people were going nuts over Power of the Forest and buying like 2, 3, and it, like this is before eBay, before the internet. The internet was just a wee baby. There was no eBay. So if you saw a toy at Sears or Zellers or Kmart, you bought it. Because you didn't know whenever you'd see that again. And you remember they had barrel-chested Luke, and then they did the Princess Leia with the big guns, and they had to take them off the shelves. So those were going for like $200 a piece, and now it's $5. Anyways, I digress. And then they had the episode 1 toys come out, and people were lined up around the block. They were lined up around the block. It wasn't even a movie. It was the toys. And people were just scooping as many of these Jar Jar Binks and Anakin Skywalker and Padmes, which are now dollar bin toys. And then the movie came out. And I remember I got there was only 2 tickets left. So I bought both tickets. They were in the very back corner. And this was before you could select your seating and everything. So I stood there. It was the 12:01 showing. And I was in line at 6:00. And I wasn't even close. I wasn't even close to first. I was in the very back corner with my dad. And let me tell you, the people who were camping out, because they were camping out weeks on end. There's people with pup tents. And I saw it in the movie in a mall. So there was people with pup tents in the mall. I'm not moving. I'm not moving. And they were all like dressed up and everything. And the first thing that hit me, because I was so excited, Star Wars. And I was like, you smell that? Oh, not good. But I was like, it's Star Wars. Get it out of your head. And then the crawl happened. And I was like, oh my God, for the first time in 20 years, I'm seeing a brand new crawl. And I read it. And it talked about trade federation and politics. And I'm like, oh my God, what is this, C-SPAN? And we watched it. And at the end of it, I remember just sitting there going, I want to like it, but I don't.
I want to like it. Oh my God.
I went back the very next morning, and I watched it again. And I had the same experience. I'm like, I want to like it. I don't know what's wrong.
Was something on the back of your head telling you like, okay, maybe the next one is going to be dark, or you knew that, no, this is going to be bad from now on?
You know, when they have a character going poodoo and they're doing slapstick humor, and it was like, there was no slapstick humor in the original trilogy. There was none. However, with that said, you got 10 minutes of a kick-ass pod race, and you got 10 minutes of a kick-ass lightsaber fight, which people were waiting for eons. Eons. And in between, you had, we were in a dispute with the Trade Federation. Yes, kill them all.
Oh, good, yeah.
Maybe we should go faster. We can't go there. It's got huts.
Yeah, man, you had John Obi-Wan Kenobi, so that should be like super cool. I was thinking like, oh my God, I remember this dude was like Luke's master. He young has to be very cool. And you're like, okay, I like the actor.
Oh, so look who's finally got a handheld version. Mustafa, the handheld version.
Yeah, I gave up on
Patch Adams is with us.
Handheld?
Yeah, handheld. That is me.
You know, being as disfigured as you are, you'd think you'd have some empathy for other people.
Oh, no.
Well, I do appreciate you pulling the eyes off me for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Or wait.
Hey, Joe, how are you? How is your eye?
I'm assuming it's still there. Thank you for asking.
Okay. I hope it's there too.
Did they install the little pop-out mechanism in the back?
Well, nice talking to you. I'll be leaving.
Steven,
Joe,
what are you doing?
All I heard when I logged on was handheld, and I immediately thought of you, Steve. So.
Oh man.
yes, but you got to use two.
Yeah.
No, it's handheld because.
So is McLeod not even showing up, or what?
Well, if he's true to form, like last week, it'll be the last 12 minutes.
Oh.
Okay.
But anyways, we were talking about our experience with the prequels, and I was just about to throw it to Jamie. We're at question number 1 with Basil because it hit a real note for me. And Mustafa, I'm sure you heard. So, anyways, guys, Mustafa Musa, inker for Marvel and DC Comics, and legendary inker Joe Rubenstein.
So Mustafa, you do the colors?
Colors? No, I do not do colors. No.
Oh, I thought that's what an inker does. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, I know, right? That's yeah. How many times have you heard that in your career, huh?
Yeah, just now. Actually, I was listening. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, everybody for some reason thinks inkers are the colorists.
Right. Yeah, I guess colors are a type of ink.
Okay, so what do they think the colorist does if inkers does the colors?
Well, I'm the ink colorist.
Okay. Yeah.
Sometimes I say I tattoo paper.
Do you just tell me you color in black and white?
Yeah, I do actually. That's what I'll say. I'm like, well, black is a color, I guess. So yeah, I guess I work in black. I work in color.
All right, we'll circle back to the prequel
Black,
talk.
Black is the color of my true love's heart.
Aww. Sad emoticon.
Right.
So Basil, that's a great question. I went on a rant there. I apologize. I didn't even get to ask Jamie what he thought. So we're going to drop you a ticket in there. We got to catch up here. Mark wants to know, when did you start with art and when did you decide to do it professional? Greetings from Germany. I know we've got this a couple times, guys, so we can go around the wheel real quick. When did you decide to go professional, Mustafa?
When did I decide to go professional? Oh, what year? Oh man. Well, I mean, yeah, 98 technically, but I mean, when I was 12 and I was selling my comics to my classmates, but I guess I can't count that.
Joe, when did you decide to go professional? Because I know you started really early on.
To my fans in Germany, ach du lieber Augustin. Anyway,
and he speaks German.
It depends how you define it. I was 13 when I was a studio assistant, but that wasn't really being an artist. And then I was 15 when I became Dick Giordano's assistant. And then I was 17 when I got my first freelance work. 17 was 1975, so that's a whopping 46 years ago.
Whew. 75 is a great year, by the way. Certainly for disco and medallions and hairy shirt. And my parent?
Yeah.
Jamie, what year?
2018.
Ooh, you're a wee bit big compared to the others here.
Oh yeah. That's all right though.
Francine, what year did you go pro?
I will say 2014. That is when I got my first solo book. Before that, I just did collaborations that year. And the book was published 2015. But I got the gig 2014. So I'm going to say 2014.
There you go. My first gig was at the National Film Board of Canada, and it was in 1995. I'm going to run it right. 95. The years do blend. Mark, thank you for the question. We're going to give you a ticket. There it goes. Tyler on our prequel chat says the movie theater I worked at had episode 3 in one theater, and it brought back crazy memories. I guess people are renting the theaters out, eh? If you rent the theater, why would you want episode 3?
When I was I don't know, when I was in my early 20s, this movie came out, and they said it was a good movie. And I went to the Ziegfeld to see it, and it was called Star Wars. And I went, yeah, that's a great movie. Who knew? It's like people find out I was actually at the opening of the movie, and it's like, oh my God, what was it like? It's like a movie. You know?
Well, actually, Bob was saying that when he first saw the movie, Marvel actually took everybody in the office and paid for them to go see it. Were you at Marvel at that time when the movie came out?
Probably. I was at the movie when I was at Marvel when I was 19. What year did it come out?
77.
77. So I was just starting at Marvel. Maybe I wasn't actually there yet. But, you know, Mark Hamill, keeping on the theme, Mark Hamill was starring in the play Amadeus on Broadway. And I had an appointment to see him to talk about some artwork. And The Empire Strikes Back had just opened. And there was a line going down the block almost to the entrance of the movie theater. And I'm waiting for Hamill. And all of a sudden I see him walking down the street past all these people. He's wearing a Levi jacket, and I think he might have had a backpack or something. And I just couldn't believe that they didn't descend upon him, because they're all it's you know, it's Luke Skywalker, and there he is. And so we did our business, and he went into the theater, and I went to the guy at the end of the line and says, "Did you just see Mark Hamill?" Says, "No." Says, "Did you see Mark Hamill walk by?" Says, "No." Says, "They were utterly oblivious to it." And the other thing I want to ask him is, how did he have the nerve to walk by a line of his fans unless he just thought, I'm so anonymous, nobody expects me to be here?
He knew they were all Harrison Ford fans.
Yeah.
Oh.
And you know, I'm sure that in the evening they probably lined up at the backstage door to get his autograph because they knew he was going to be there. But it just flabbergasted me that devotees of Star Wars didn't notice the guy walk by them.
Well, I bet he doesn't have that problem now, that's for sure.
Maybe not. You know, it's like some people say, it's like, you know, you either present yourself as I'm here and people notice you, or you just sort of don't. And then people just don't expect it to happen, you know.
Okay, let's move on to that's a great question. There we go. Another ticket into the pile. Luke asks, when you first started, or even now, is there anything that gives you issues when you create it? So how about we take this from a drawing standpoint? Is there anything specific that when you just dread doing, like whether it's a body part, perspective, color theory, in terms of the creative process, what drives you absolutely bat crazy and you don't want to draw? Sorry, Irving.
You know, that's two different issues. The creative process is not about drawing. Drawing, you know how to do. You know, creating is coming up with something you ordinarily don't do.
Layout.
What?
Layouts, doing the layouts, because that's when you're creating. That's when you are like, okay, how I'm gonna design this page? How are the panels gonna go? Even because you're not drawing at that moment, you're just doing scribbles of, oh, this is the action. But that part, oof, that's the most intense part.
Yeah, because every one of us knows how to draw a head. There's no problem. Just you can draw. You know, we can all draw. But now, how do I make it interesting? How to make it creative? How to make it different? How do I not do the same old thing I've done forever? That's creative. You know,
So Joe, would you say that's what drives you nuts? Is you hate doing monotony, like things that you've done a million times?
Oh, I absolutely can't stand monotony. I can't stand doing an image 3 times. By the time I've done it twice, I'm bored. You know.
So like Wolverine #1?
Yeah. But luckily, there are months and months between it, so that I don't have to get too bored. And I'm really lucky because there's so many versions of Wolverine that I don't have to draw the same guy all the time in the same costume and whatever. But you know, I mean, I people who aren't artists think that, one, if it looks like a photograph, you did a great job, as if the photograph doesn't do it better than you can, firstly. And secondly, oh, I can't put in all those details, and oh, look at all the details you squeezed into that picture. You're good. And what mature artists realize is, what do you leave out? What don't you need? What's the essence of what's in front of you? You look at the masters like Alex Toth, and you go, wow, look how little there is, and it gets the point across, So I can't stand just doing all this filigree and details and costume, and it's like it's just for the clients to think that you've worked hard on the piece. When there's a story about a writer who said, I apologize for writing such a long letter. I didn't have enough time to write a short one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Mustafa, how about you?
I got two answers. Part of it is what Joe said, doing the same thing over again. Now, if I'm at a bar and I want to draw a quick head sketch of like Batman or Deadpool, that's no problem. But if I have to redraw something for whatever reason, it's pretty much the worst job ever, because like I already did it, and to have to like recreate it. I work in ink, and I had a little ink well, and I had like the thing next to the board, and I knocked over all the ink over just one panel, but it was enough. It was enough to just piss me off, and I was like, I already did this. I don't want to do this again. So it was the hardest panel. Now I'm sure Joe has stories about having to redraw entire things, but that I will always remember. Anytime I spill something, or anytime, I don't know, if something gets lost or crushed or whatever, having to redo it. Doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter what it is.
Why do I have stories about having to redo things?
I get the feeling it might be. I don't know.
No, Joe would pull the Pee Wee Herman. He'd turn it into a happy accident. Meant to do that.
Yeah, I meant to do that. The other thing, and this is always my go-to answer, the other thing is foliage, because you can draw like every blade of grass and make it look amazing, and nobody will care. Nobody will care. Nobody's ever been like, "Oh man, that's some amazing grass you did. That's an amazing tree."
But are they supposed to care?
No.
Is that why you're doing it?
No. So I still do it. But
it depends. If the panel that you're inking, is that tree so important that the story needs you to look at that tree because it's so great work on the tree?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but it's like back to Star Wars. The first time you see Star Wars #1 and that enormous ship suddenly fills the entire screen, in the theater I was in, the place exploded with applause. They couldn't believe it. But at no point did the creator of the movie want people to stop and go, "Nice model. I love the way they shot that. Oh, that's a good effect." It's like, so you do all this stuff because, speaking for myself, you do it because you spend your entire life doing this stuff. You have to have something to be proud of. You have to have something that you can point to and go, "I'm not ashamed for you to look at that." But at the same time, except for other artists, you don't want anybody to stop and admire how you did that effect or this or that or the other. You just want them to see, "Oh, that's a wonderful gnarly tree that told the story." And then they could, and the thing is, the hundreds of hours we spend on our jobs, what's it take to read a comic book? 8 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, it's like I did storyboards in the Ultimate Avengers. It was a sequence when the Black Panther, before he was big, was running through the forest or something. It's like 161 frames. And when it was all done, it was like a minute in the movie. I went, that's what I spent a week on, huh? Okay. So you got to enjoy the doing of it, and you also need the money, but you got to enjoy the doing of it, because the rest of the stuff is so utterly separate from you once it's published or whatever.
But also the great thing about doing storyboards is like you spend the whole week doing that work. So when they shoot it, the person that shoot it have that creative process done because you already did it. He knew what he needs to, because the whole week the storyboard. So
sure, I mean,
at the end the viewer only saw 2 minutes, but all your hard work paid off at the moment when they were good, and it's like, okay, we need to do this. We don't need to rethink it. You did the thinking for them.
Yeah, I mean, we're all in a collaborative process, and it's good that but some I always compare Simon and Garfunkel. It's like, to me, Simon and Garfunkel are better together than apart, because the synchronicity, the synergy happens.
Well, Garfunkel for sure. I mean,
all right. So you give the guy the storyboards, and she thinks, oh, hey, look, this is great. Now I can build on this. I can add to this. And sometimes you see something and you go, I hadn't thought of that they did on top of what I did. But the problem with the collaborative process is you read the comic book and you go, well, this story sucks. Nice artwork. Or this is good story and the artwork's good, but the colors didn't know what the hell they were doing. And it's like, because there's so many hands in it that, you know, it takes it takes a tremendous amount of work to produce a mediocre movie, you know, let alone a good one, let alone a great one. And I think when a great one happens, even though there are people, you know, like Spielberg or Orson Welles or somebody who consistently produce great movies, the fact that there's so many people involved, there's thousands of opportunities to get wrong. You know? So
well, that's the thing, that in terms of the evolution of the comic industry, the one thing that I've kind of think about every once in a while is everybody's getting these comic books, vintage comic books, put into CGC case holders. There's going to be generations now that it's a commodity that'll never see some great interior artwork unless you get the omnibus. And also, Mustafa, to circle around to your comment, the reason why you spend all that time doing the foliage, because if you don't do it, the first thing they'll say is, "What's this?" It'll be the first thing that jars them and pulls them out of your drawing.
Like if you just draw like X's or something?
No. If you just do like an outline, or you cheat it, or you shadow it in, you know what I mean?
I see people do that all the time. What are you talking about? Nobody cares.
They'll notice. Trust me. Unless it's part of the mood.
I'll pull up some images later, like amazing artists that'll just do like silhouettes, like silhouettes. But they look good.
What I want to talk about this at this point is like talking with Brian Stelfreeze a couple of times. There is one thing that he says, and it's super true, and it's about sometimes you don't need to have a beautiful background, because you need in that moment on the story, you don't need the people to put attention to the background, so you just minimize it. So it depends. That's why I always said it depends on the story. The story is the one that has the power. What the story says for this panel, and what you want the people to focus on.
And the difference between a photographer and a painter or comic book artist is we have to focus the vision. We have to focus the focal point, second one, and the last one. So it's like Alfredo Alcala would do this magnificent Conan splash with Conan staring out in the desert and the clouds. And the clouds were incredibly great. But I don't know that we saw Conan, or as soon as we saw Conan, those clouds better be played back now, because everything can't be the star in the picture, because then nothing's the star.
Well, that's also why the best artists are great storytellers as well. Jamie, what do you dread doing in terms of?
I would say.
It's difficult to go back.
I would say sometimes when people critique your work and they point out something that I didn't see at the time, and that just annoys me because I wish I had seen it. You know, like, why didn't I see that? I get mad at myself. I really do. I get really mad at myself. My wife could tell you. Like sometimes she'll point out something to me and she'll be like, you know, you missed this, or you missed this detail. And I'll just be like, it'll just bug the hell out of me. And I'll need to like go give myself a pep talk in the mirror for a second or something. I don't know.
Honestly, I wouldn't worry about it. It's more about like the sum of the parts than like the individual. Like I remember working on pages where like there'd be buildings in the background and the windows, they just wouldn't line up like they did on freehand. And I'm like, this is going to be published. How would you not like just spend an extra few seconds ruling this out? But it's fine. It's going to get fixed. Don't beat yourself up about stuff like that. Don't worry about it.
Thanks.
It's seriously.
That's what you're.
Speaking about beating ourselves up, here's the best person to beat himself up. John Hebert is joining us, a Marvel artist of The Punisher and X-Men Adventures. How you doing, sir?
I'm good. How's everybody doing today?
John, hit yourself in the face to prove him wrong.
I did it.
Why not? Everybody else does.
John's very pliable.
All right, it's Luke. Thanks for the question. We're gonna give you a ticket. There you go. All right, let's move on. Luke, there we go. Mark Weidenhofer wants to know, do you like the new Disney movies? I was going to save that to next week, but we can go around the horn real quick. Sequel series. Yes or no? Jamie.
New Disney movies?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Like the new Star Wars?
Yeah, the sequel trilogy.
Oh, okay. The new
Oh,
Star Wars.
okay,
Disney.
Yeah, I
Okay,
figured
yeah,
that's
yeah.
something.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
saving that
Thank
for
you
next
for
week. We'll
that,
dive deep,
Gustavo.
but
I was
what do
so
you think about
confused.
Disney? How about that? What do you think about the new Disney stuff?
okay. So here's the deal. There's things to like about them, but as a whole, they're very problematic. They don't have the same cohesion as the original trilogy. I mean, it's you find things to like, and there's a lot of things to hate.
Right.
John, what do you think about Disney's handling of Star Wars?
I feel the same way. There's some really good stuff, and there's some, but the overall, the pieces are greater than the whole. There's some neat stuff there, but you know, when they did the first series of 3 that Disney wasn't involved with a few years ago that were, I thought, terrible, I kept saying, you know, you can't go home again. When the first Star Wars film came out back in the 70s, the economy was bad, everybody was down, there was that malaise. It was the late 70s. And that thing came out, and it was the right film at the right time. Everything just clicked. It took people away. And you came out of that theater, like when you see Superman 2 or some of these other Rocky, you came out feeling like you could lick the world. And that was what society needed as a catharsis. And it just hit at the right time, the right place. Everything else from that point on was just following up on that. And to equal that feeling, to reignite that in exactly that way, those movies had to not just be good, they had to be just perfect. And they're not. So some good stuff, but it's you can't go home again.
John, you should ask Francine what she feels about the prequels.
Okay. Okay.
It ate up the first half hour.
You can see it in the replay.
You should. It's worth it. It's worth watching. Yeah.
Did I ever tell you what Peter David said about that third one with the origin of Darth Vader? He said he could fix that whole movie with one change of line. Remember the end of that third one where Vader's in the operating table like Frankenstein? He's first got the suit on, and he says, "What happened to Padme?" And the Emperor says, "She's dead." And he does the no. Peter David said, "You know how you could have fixed that movie? Have one change. Have Vader just go, good." And it would have been a great movie. I'm like, that's brilliant.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. He's right.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I'm digesting. Joe, how do you think Disney's handled Star Wars so far?
I was very disappointed with I guess the first J.J. Abrams one, because he does great work. I admire his stuff a lot. And all it was the exact same movie, just done with the girl protagonist instead of Luke again. It was just, doesn't know where she's going, wonder what's going on, who's my father. It's like it, and you know, that's the problem with one of the dozens of problems with the creative process, is if you're a musician, the public expects you to produce a certain kind of music.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't, they go, who are you?
Mm-hmm.
And if you keep doing the same kind of movie, they go, God, I'm bored. Are you ever going to do something different?
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, it's hard to evolve and keep your audience with you. And I think they were playing it too safe, and just let's give them what they expect instead of something that's like, wow, I never thought that would happen in a Star Wars universe.
Francine, how do you like how Disney's been handling it?
Well, I thought exactly the same thing that Joe just said about when I watched I don't remember the name, but the first one of the last trilogy.
Force Awakens.
Yeah, that one. Because at that moment, I since I really like the animations and everything, I went back and watched the other movies, so I knew more about the whole Star Wars universe, and I knew better the first movie with Luke. And when I went to watch that, I thought, like, what is this? Is he like copy the movie? Kind of like the same feeling that I have when I watch Prometheus, that I thought like they are copying Alien, even when it's the same guy, he's copying himself. But this one was even worse because it was a different director. So he was copying another director. He was not even copying himself. So I felt like the first one, or the fourth one, whatever you want to call it, the original one was way better. And this one is just a copy of the one that was way better, and not really a better copy, just like a mediocre copy. And I wanted to like it a lot because it was gonna be like this female Jedi girl. So I really wanted to like it because cool, it's gonna be like very similar but with a female protagonist. And I didn't saw that in Star Wars before in a movie, just with the other pretty cool characters in the games or in the TV shows, animated, but not in the movies. But yeah, I didn't like that was too similar. And then they did the other ones and didn't fix it at all. So I'm not very happy how they are handling the movies, but I love what they did with The Mandalorian, and that's due by Disney as well. So they can do good stuff too.
Well, I think what happened was my kind of take on it was that Disney bought something from George Lucas, and they knew that they wanted to do the sequel trilogy while the actors were still alive, and they wanted to kind of parrot what Marvel was doing, but they didn't have a Kevin Feige to be the hands-on. They got Kathleen Kennedy, and she kind of said, "Okay, I'm going to pick J.J. Abrams, and then we're going to go to another director and another director." Abrams kind of, as much as he basically emulated the New Hope, I think Lawrence Kasdan, they had an impossible task: how to bring back an IP that lay dormant. It's an impossible task, but they did enough to where it was a big success, and then they handed it to Rian Johnson, and essentially he basically took everything that JJ did, threw it out the window. Kathleen Kennedy didn't stop him, and it essentially split the fandom right in half. And then they handed it back. They basically said, "Oh, JJ, save us from ourselves." And basically he had two impossible tasks. And the best thing was, I thought, is he has an interview where he says, one of the impossible things is try to replicate the feeling of the original trilogy to a new audience to meet that expectation.
But just imagine,
in my mind, Favreau just said, "Introduce the Mandalorian."
No, but wait a second. Just imagine you have the guy that plays Luke originally. So he has been playing that character since the 70s. So he knows the character. He knows what the character will do because he was the character for many years. And the director tells him, "Oh, this is what's going to happen with the character." And you have the actor telling you, the character will never do that. That's not something that my character will do. And the director was like, "Fuck it, I don't care to do that." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm an actor, I'm gonna do it." But he publicly says, like, "I'm not endorsing what my character is doing. Like, I'm Luke Skywalker. Luke will never do that." So
that was Rian Johnson's attitude to everything was like, "I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. Here's my vision, here's my story, here's what I'm gonna do." Kathleen Kennedy was on site, so guess what? Everybody else take a back seat. JJ handed him the flight plan, and it was going to go to the next.
It was horrible. They just killed those classic characters. Like the way they killed Luke Skywalker was horrible. The way they killed Han Solo, how you kill Han Solo like that? He shouldn't not be that. He will never be that old. He should die beautiful and live a beautiful body. And
I think he agreed to do the movie only if he gets killed in the movie.
Yeah,
right?
That's what he wanted because he wanted to get killed in Return of the Jedi. And
so they could have made it better. They could have made him die in a more meaningful way, but he was going to die no matter what. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know if you guys are Star Wars, if you're South Park fans. But like when they talked about like the first J.J. Abrams movie, when they talked about the member berries. And like, remember Stormtroopers? Remember Skywalker? Remember that? And that's what that movie was. It was just like, remember this? That was great, right? Let's put that in there.
I remember.
I
remember. I never understand why somebody can act. Maybe even they're a great actor. Who says they know anything about writing? Who says they know anything about dialogue? It's like, well, this line wouldn't work for me. Who asked you? Just do a stupid part. I mean, it's like for instance, in First Blood, they wanted Kirk Douglas to play the general, whatever the hell he was. Who was
Troutman.
Right.
Troutman.
Right. And he said, okay, but I really think that at the end of this, he should kill Rambo and put the animal out of its misery. And they went, we don't want to do that. Says,
Which is what he did in the book.
Says, or they asked Alec Baldwin to be Thomas Wayne in The Joker. And he said, you know that part where I punch him? Can't I just befriend him? And he went, no, you got to punch him. Says, okay, well, I'm doing it. Says, who asked you? Well, you don't know the arc of the movie. You don't know where it's going. It's one lousy scene. So just because a person can act, who says they have any taste? You know.
So instead, they got Meatloaf's best friend to play Thomas.
Anyways, I was hoping to do the new sequel trilogy next week, but that's fine. We got a couple questions we got to catch up on. But thanks, Mark, for that one. Basil wants to know, have you ever regretted doing a specific drawing? So, Mustafa, other than the one that you spilled ink all over, do you have a drawing that you regretted doing?
Oh, man. I don't know. Can we talk more Star Wars? No. Regretted? No. No, I don't think so.
John does. He's shaking.
Oh, wait. I do. But it was in 8th grade, and it was about the teacher. Oh, man. She found it. Oh, man. Yeah.
I had the same thing.
It was, oh, man. Yeah. I don't know if I should talk about that one, though.
Talk about it. I want you to talk about it now.
Oh, that's a great story. Okay, so let's see. There's a teacher that nobody liked, but she liked me because I could draw. So she was literally passing. It was like 10th or 11th grade, whatever it was. I was checked out at that point. I wasn't really invested in, learning art, learning, math and all that. I was just drawing. So nobody liked this teacher. She was mean to everybody, but she would pass me, and I was done with my work, and I drew a little picture of her, maybe in, compromising situations. And I passed it to my friend who was sitting behind me. And he was like, oh, man, that's amazing. And he laughed, and he passed it to his friend behind him. And his friend behind him, it got confiscated by the teacher. Last day of school, and she was like, oh, I'm so disappointed in you.
I'm not angry.
I got a 70.
Disappointed.
I got a 70.
I gotta say that it did an impact because you still remember it till now.
And I regret it, but it was funny. I have to admit, it was pretty funny.
How old were you?
How old?
24.
14.
Oh, well, you should have gone back 3 years later and given her what she wanted.
I have a story.
All right, John.
Almost the same scenario. I was in sophomore year biology, and we had the hot blonde biology teacher that everybody drooled over, and two of my friends paid me $10 to draw a nude of her. And I did, and almost the same scenario, passing it around. Mm-hmm. And the wrong guy got caught. Where'd you get this, John? Oh, thanks. And she said to me after she pulled me aside, I didn't get hold of the office or anything because she was really cool. She's living in like a commune in Canada now.
That's redundant.
I did it to her. She goes, I just want to say you're very talented, and you gave me a bigger chest than I have, and I just kind of went,
wow. Yeah. Oh, that's a compliment.
Yeah. And she always mentioned that till the last day she flew out there. Last time I saw her, she said, that was really a good drawing. And she even mentioned it to my mother when she came in for a parent-teacher conference. That was an awkward ride home in the Chevy.
Hey, Mustafa, Luke wants to know if the teacher kept the drawing.
I mean, she should. It should be worth something now, right?
Mine did. She kept it.
I would just say this. She probably could not hang it up if she kept it.
Aww.
She wouldn't want somebody to see that.
Well, she can put it next to Jamie's customer's paint drawing.
Yeah, maybe.
Jamie, do you have a drawing that you regret?
Oh my gosh. There was a period of time when I was in high school that well, actually even before that, where people would pay me for drawings, whatever. And back then I really didn't have a filter. I was like, I'll just draw whatever. Give me the money and I'll draw it. And I was getting paid like $20-$30 to draw some of these things. And so it was like some really questionable, compromising, perverted things that I was requested to draw. And here's the thing. So after school, there was this computer lab. And I really didn't like to go home right away. And so I would stay in the computer lab and I would draw these things for these people, these commissions, if you will. Not even knowing what the hell that was at the time. But, and the computer, I made the mistake one day of leaving a couple of them there.
Uh-oh.
And so the computer lab instructor, when we went in there one day for to use the computers, he told me, "You're barred from coming back here after class." Yeah, it was pretty bad. And the thing is too, I think if I remember correctly, I kept the money, never gave the drawings. I can't remember if they said I could keep the money because I got in trouble or what it was, but either way, that was the end of my days in the computer lab. But yeah, it was that was pretty embarrassing. Pretty embarrassing.
Joe, do you have something along the lines of a regretful drawing?
I would never admit it to you people. Not exactly, but there was this project that the art teacher gave when I was, I don't know, 10, 9, 11. You know those books where the image, there's like multiple images behind each other, and they're in thirds, so you can put this head on top of that torso, on top of those legs and all that stuff. So I decided this was my big project. So I was doing watercolors every day of a genie and a cowboy and a superhero and who the hell knows what. And the point of these things were to give them to like sick kids in hospitals to play with.
Oh boy.
And when I was done with this thing, I went, I'm not giving this to some sick kid. It's like gonna like throw up on it. It's, And then the teacher looked at it and went, "Oh, I'm going to keep this as an example to show all my other classes." So maybe it's buried with it. I don't know. Okay.
So, Francine, we've got a lot of dirty boys here.
Yeah.
Do you have a drawing that you regret?
Nope.
No regrets.
No regrets about my drawings, guys.
I bet the nuns were very proud of you.
Oh, hell no, not even. I did some hentai comics when I was younger, and I don't regret them. You will never see them. People will never see them, but I don't regret them.
I love how Francine's puffing her chest out right now.
Right.
I forgot. I did this series of adult, like online only things I totally forgot about. Don't regret it. They paid me.
Right.
Yeah.
No regrets.
Yeah.
Yeah, Francine, be proud of those tentacles.
And John, don't draw her chest bigger. I did a mock-up comic book for the TV show Queer as Folk with some very explicit gay stuff going on. And they were going to put it on their website. And when it came on the website, all the explicit stuff was gone. And I thought, who was I doing this for? The art director?
Oh, yeah. You probably make a very happy art director.
Yeah. And really, you need a happy art director in your life. So,
yeah, let's make our director happy, guys.
Yeah.
I got one for you. So it's my first end of the first week of college. I'm in art fundamentals, and they said, "Guys, you're going to get your first life drawing lesson on the Friday," and it was 3:00 in the afternoon, and the pub was open. So everybody's like, "Okay, we've got a model. She's coming in." And for everybody, this is their first time ever drawing a nude model, and it's predominantly guys, and it's a lady. And they're like, "Oh, everybody's like, oh, this is gonna be awesome! I'm gonna get to draw some naked women. Here we go." In walks this girl with a muumuu, and she was large.
Whole lot of woman.
A lot of women. A lot
More
of
than you can handle. Right.
Yeah. But I think the teacher did it on purpose because she knew it's kind of like, when you're in health class and someone says penis. So I think she knew. So I think she knew that we were going to be a little bit rambunctious, being the young bucks we were at the time. So she gets up and she's all attitude. And she's like, I'm here for business. If you're not going to take this seriously, I'm going to tell you to get the bleep out. And so she disrobes, and me being a moron at the time, she goes, okay, we're going to start with 1 minute gestures. I put up my hand. I am going to need more paper. And
Steven! But Steven!
And I spent the rest of the afternoon at the pub.
My first day in life drawing, I walked in late. It was a Monday. Trying to sneak in surreptitiously. There was one seat left. It was on a horse in front of, the drawing horses, in front of everybody in the back row with the drawing boards. And out of the corner of my eye, I saw a naked body on the stage. So I missed the maturity lecture. How ironic. And I said, okay, it appears to be a man. You've been to the gym. You'll deal with this. You'll be okay. So I walked around, made the whole horseshoe loop, sat down, put my stuff down, looked up, and it wasn't a man. It was a rather large woman. Now, here's where it gets really weird. Years later, when I became a supervisor at the state of New York, I supervised her. She's a good friend.
Okay.
Wow.
I went to the Art Students League when I was 11, and for some reason it wasn't a children's class, it was a mixed class, and there was a nude woman there, and I was so embarrassed I made a point of sitting behind her so I would never see her face and look into her eyes. And then the next week when I went back, I was like really looking forward to seeing a naked lady, and that was the week that she wore some clothing, so I was very disappointed. So.
Did you also see on her eyes?
We had a student have an almost nervous breakdown at the sight of a nude man at my college one time.
Male or female?
It was a female who, the gentleman was European, and there was something she'd never seen before. And she had a conniption, and she had to be pulled out of the class. And when we're all together in the same room, I'll tell you, I'm not telling you on here, but it was very funny.
Well, we know what you're talking about.
She missed grade 5 health class.
Yeah. The funny thing is, her later on, like 5 years later, I'm doing a convention in Bennington, Vermont, and there she is, and we get talking, and she's like, "Did you go to?" I said, "Yeah, I remember you. And we started telling war stories, and I threw that story out. I wasn't there that day. My girlfriend was in that class, but everybody was talking about it. She goes, "That was me," and I went, "Oh no!"
Oh.
But there's a comic connection there. She's the girl who Death from the Sandman is based on. The artist saw her at a convention with my buddy, liked her look, and turned her into Death.
Wow.
Very pale, that angular face, only instead of black hair, she had very, very bleached white hair.
Oh, wow.
Her name is Kristen Miller. She lives about an hour from here.
Do you want to give her address too while you're at it?
Sure.
1555.
You can call her to this number.
Amanda Cuba.
All right, Basil, that was a great question. It went a little off topic there. I think we're going to have a day where we just talk about life drawing stories. I got a feeling everybody's got a bushel of them. All right, Mark wants to know how long does the process take to create one comic? I mean, we nerds read them in maybe an hour.
An hour? What are you?
Comic?
Maybe you're reading like a omnibus or something like that.
A graphic novel, yeah.
A graphic novel, yeah.
Yeah, Mark. I think the answer on this varies, and I think it depends on the process in terms of how many people are working on it. Is it an independent book? Is it a published book like Marvel or DC? So I think you could crank one out in a day if you wanted to, or you could take months. It all varies.
A monthly comic book has a 21-day schedule.
Right.
Yeah. Most books, you want to knock it out in a month. Yeah. But it doesn't happen too often anymore. Or it'll happen for a few months, and then some other team will come on because they can't hit their deadlines.
Right. Why do you think that is, Mustafa?
So, actually, I would be curious to get the perspective of Joe and John on this, because comics back in the 70s, 80s, like growing up, like they were clockwork, whether they just had to get done. Yep. And nowadays, like there's all kinds of, excuses. I don't know what it is. If they're spending longer on the pages, because there is, there's a lot of pages that have a lot of crazy detail now.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of pages back then that did too, and they were doing like bi-monthly books sometimes, you know. So I don't know if it's work ethic, to be honest. I don't know if there's more money maybe in in commissions, private commissions, and in conventions and shows, appearances, and they just don't have the desire to do it monthly, because back then guys were on books for years. And if you get a guy on a book for 4 months, that's considered like an accomplishment now.
Yeah.
John?
Well, I think a lot of what he's mentioned is part of it. I think for one thing, back in the day, 70s, 60s, 50s, if you were doing comics, you were not making a ton of money, and you needed to work. You couldn't get into advertising or whatnot. Perhaps you were doing comics maybe as a stopgap until you got into advertising or whatnot, or painting or whatever. It wasn't the art form it is now. It wasn't considered that yet. You were doing it for a paycheck, and you needed that paycheck to keep a roof over your head and food on the table. So people were a little more desperate. Now the standard of living is a little higher, and what happened in the 80s and 90s when people started to make royalties? Oh, geez, look at this. I got a check for thousands of dollars. Now I can goof off and go buy a jet ski. The next book will get done when it gets done. And I think that changed the work ethic a little bit.
How many jet skis do you have now, John?
Right,
What's
John, there was a bonus for staying on a book for like 6 issues at a time. And also,
how come I never got it?
Also, when people make more money, they spend more money.
Right.
So it's not like, oh, I got $1,000 I can take off. It's like, okay, now I can make the payment on this and that, and you just get used to making more money, and you just have to keep working and working.
That's right.
And the thing is, it's like comic books didn't pay well until royalties showed up. I mean, sometimes you got a whopping check like Jim Lee and that crowd.
Yeah.
But John Buscema gave up advertising work because he got tired of traveling into Manhattan, and you get paid faster. With commercial work, it's 30, 60, 90 days. With comic books, you hand it in on Tuesday, write a voucher, and you get paid the next week. So people just counted on a continuous check. And, I was on Superman for 7 years, and Spider-Man for 3 years, and Batman for 3 years. It's good to know that you don't have to start making phone calls, looking around. It's like, where's the next? And there are artists like Don Newton. Don Newton went over to Marvel, and when they didn't have a script ready, he got panicked and went back to DC because they had one waiting for him that day.
I remember that.
And I think that the comic book companies are doing a disservice to themselves, because you knew when you bought the Justice League of America, it was George Perez, and Teen Titans, it was George Perez, and
Dick Dillon.
Right, but
for years,
whoever, and Superman Kurt Swan, and then Superman Dan Jurgens. It's like
John Byrne, X-Men.
Right, who are these people? What's going on? How come the storyline has changed? I was getting used to this before. It's almost like TV shows these days. It's like you don't even want to watch a TV show till the first season is over. So at least there'll be a first season, instead of like, I'm invested in this for 4 episodes and they just canceled it.
It seemed like Ross Andrew was on Spider-Man most of my life.
Yeah, or Herb Trimpe on the Hulk.
Herb Trimpe, yep.
Jim Aparo on Batman.
Yeah. Well, we're more Brave and the Bold, and then
or a Batman title.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Giordano on Flash.
Well, it's the inker, but
Irv
Novick, yeah.
And on Batman, and then let's see, Sal on Cap.
Right, sure. And
one thing that I'm seeing now, is that they don't keep like the teams, like the artists, like too much in one title. Maybe they keep the writer, but it's like they give to the art team like 5 issues, and then they swap it for other team. What do you think is that one?
I think they manage it like they're going to make them into graphic novels. They're like, okay, we're gonna have this team for 4 issues. That's maybe all we can afford. Maybe that's all they can commit to. Like, I mean, talking to fellow artists now, like to get them to commit to a single issue is pulling teeth. To do 4 issues would be like incredibly hard now. So if you say like, okay, just do 4 issues, can you just get 4 issues out of this team, and then that's enough for a graphic novel that they can resell and
right.
Why is it incredibly hard to get somebody to commit to getting some work?
Work ethic, I think.
Work ethic.
I think it's not as strong as it used to be. Because I'm
millennials.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. That's a whole other topic.
Well, All right. I
No.
wouldn't know about that, but I just know that there are bills, and most people have a family that they got to support. It just seems like great. Happy to get the, it used to be a seller's market, a buyer's market. And I wonder if editors don't get resentful because I'm trying to give you work and you don't want it, and I got to go to the next level and the next level and who's available.
Okay. So there's another issue, and it's a big issue. They're not paying like they should.
Right.
Oh, that's very true.
Like what they're paying, guys can make in a weekend at a show.
Sure.
So why are they going to work all month for something they can make in 2 or 3 days?
Right.
For the privilege, for the honor of the credit. Okay, what if they already got the credits? Then what?
Right. Well, if they get the credits, but it's like David Bowie at the end of his life was only selling his music on his website because he was David Bowie, because he put in all those decades to get the rep. So, I don't know if doing 4 issues of the Avengers gets you a rep at a convention where you can start charging, $500 for a drawing or something like that. But I noticed that I realized all those years in art school were wasted because all I had to do was put up a big banner at a convention to say I'm an artist. So, it's like, okay, you want to, and somebody walks in and says, I want a drawing of Wolverine. A lot of people can do a drawing of Wolverine.
All right, guys. Mark, great question. You get a ticket. There we go. Guys, we got to do a reset. We kind of cleared our reset time by 15 minutes. We got 15 minutes left. So welcome to MBartist Alley Live. I'm Stephen Ahola, and we've got the MBartists of MBartist. We're going to walk through our featured art prints. Let's go through it. We've got Bob McLeod, who should be here any minute for his 12 minutes with his Amazing Spider-Man. We've got Chad Harden's Creepy Connie. Francine Delgado mashup of Batman and Sailor Moon. We've got Jamie Coker's It. James C. Mulligan's Lion King. Joe, talk to us about this Chamber of Chills piece.
It's icky.
Great, let's move on.
It's spooky.
John, do you have an equal short answer for this Chamber of Chills?
It's ooky and spooky, mysterious and kooky.
There we go. The Addams Family. We also have Mustafa. This is the second half of last week's.
Oh man, so many Harleys. Too many Harleys, I think. Really.
You can never have too many Harleys.
Too many. Actually, no, that's true. It's done well.
All right, move on to the next one. Okay, move on to the next one.
Why does he have blonde hair?
I don't know.
Why does the Crypt Keeper have blonde hair?
It was in the guy. He's from California. He's a surfer.
He's done old.
Okay.
This is what happens when you're in the sun too long. All right, guys. So how can you get these featured art prints? There's 3 ways. Number 1, ask a question as you've seen. You get a ticket, and at the end of the show, we draw a name. Number 2, you put in claim whatever one you want, and the lovely Love G out there is going to help you out. Or you can go to MBartist and you can fill your boots and get free shipping on any one of these, whether it's art print, platinum, or canvas, with the promo code free shipping. All right, so those are art prints.
Can I show a future MBartist project that I almost finished?
Sure. What's on the table?
I showed it the other time, but I was about 2 hours away from finishing this when my eye went, and I can't get the fine enough details yet, so I got to wait a couple of weeks.
All right.
Joe, how is your eye?
That's as far as I got on this.
Oh,
wow.
That's nice.
Look at that.
Star Wars.
And here for your Star Wars people, it's like, look, space is showing through Obi-Wan. So I have like Leia's got to be refined, and I got about 2 hours work left. But that's
Joe. How's your eye?
It's still there. It's like it's underwater, and I see shapes and colors, and then slowly but surely the tide is receding.
Okay.
And an interesting thing, I walked into my kitchen, which has just night lights, and it's very dark. And I closed the good eye, and the bad eye, it got brighter because apparently all the light was bouncing in it, like refractions. Oh, wow. So that was weird. But yeah.
So basically, it's like an aquarium.
Yeah. You should smell it.
No, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that great piece of Joe Rubenstein is available right now on MBartist.com. We are doing pre-sales. So if you want to reserve an early number, we only do 100 of each. So jump on and fill your boots. Okay, so we got to do run and gun because we've got 5 minutes until we're out of here. Actually, Chris Coyer says, "I don't really have a question, but this is a fantastic discussion." Mark Wiedenhofer says the stories for Mr. Rubenstein are awesome. Obviously, he hasn't met you in person yet, Joe.
Honestly, what?
He hasn't met you in person.
That's true. You have.
Nido Ferris from YouTube says, Francine, are you working on any comic project recently?
Hi, Nido. Not any particular one. I am looking into a couple of books with different writers, but nothing has started yet. And the only comic work I have been doing lately is the covers for the Golden Age books MBartist is doing. So get those ones.
Yeah, Nido, if you go on MBartist.com, you can pick up. All of these gentlemen have done Golden Age. Well, Mustafa's first one's going to be coming up for Wiz Comics with Francine. But we have Planet Comics, we have Phantom Lady, Chamber of Chills, available now online at MBartist.com, and then coming soon, Green Hornet and Famous Funnies. Ariel Diaz, thanks for the question, Nido. You get a ticket. There you go. Ariel made a comment. From regretting drawings to most embarrassing encounter with a drawing, these are gold. Thanks for the laugh, you guys. Thanks for joining us, Ariel. Luke, who do you think was an underrated artist that you were impressed by? You know what? You've been so quiet, Jamie. Why don't you kick it off?
Oh, my gosh.
You've just been doing eyebrow impressions for the last 20 minutes.
Man, I think an artist, I don't think they, or at least among my friends, that I don't think gets enough praise. I love Barry Windsor Smith. I really do. I like a lot of his stuff, particularly the Weapon X series, miniseries, or what have you.
Not Jamie. Sorry, Fran.
Well, by name I can think it now in a friend from Costa Rica. We have like a couple of very cool Costa Rican artists that are drawing comics, like drawing big deal stuff like Batman and Harley Quinn and like the big stuff. But there's this other guy that he haven't. I tell him that he haven't been discovered yet, like for the big ones. But he's gonna be there because he's kicking out super cool. His name is Sergio Acuna. Yeah.
John
Newton.
Mustafa.
Underrated is tough because you have a lot of favorite artists, but people have heard of them. So if I say like, Kevin Nolan, I don't think he's underrated. Or Brian Boland, he's not underrated. But I'm gonna throw out some names that people don't talk about a lot. Like Rick Leonardi was really, really good. He was just so energetic, his pencils. And Jeff Johnson, he's a guy who was good there and just kind of drifted away, did his own thing for a while, and he's back doing comic book art, and it's great stuff.
Joe.
Two people. One got a bad rap, and I think Don Heck was wonderful and did great graphic stuff in the Westerns and all the mystery jobs he did before the superhero era. And the other one is, John mentioned him earlier, Ross Andru. Because once Ross Andru went over to Marvel and he got John Severn to ink him and Wally Wood to ink him, Tom Palmer, they were just gorgeous works. And, and as far as Don Newton goes, so many people are lost and forgotten, but that's what I hope the reprints will do. You think when Marvel sees their reprints sell, that they go, maybe people want this kind of art and we should start doing that kind of look again because it's selling to somebody.
They won't wake up.
Okay.
I'm going to give two names. And number one is going to be, so I met this gentleman and he said that he was out of comics for a couple decades and he's working for the city of Albany. And I said, dude, your stuff is sick. You got to get back in the game. And just check that out, guys. Like, seriously, look at the line work. How is this not appreciated enough? So that's number one. Mr. Hebert, You are underappreciated, and you need to be discovered. And that's why we do this, because your stuff is awesome. Like, look at that, guys. This is available, and you got to check him out on MBartist.com. His stuff is awesome, and I am like completely excited to see a Star Wars in full color when it comes back. Number two.
Did you get the scans?
I did. I already sent them off to be colored.
Great. Thanks.
Number two. So this person is very appreciated for his inking skills, but I don't think there's enough love in terms of his painting.
Oh, Joe.
Mr. Rubenstein, like, I know we joke about it saying that you're a legendary inker and an unknown painter, but like, I know that you have a following for your paintings, but I don't think it gets enough love. And just listening to you talk about your process and how you go about things, I think this is the reason why I keep pushing you to give me more paintings, because it is phenomenal. And I think you could be the perfect blend between old school art and trying to achieve kind of like what Alex Ross is trying to do. So
he was always kind to me even when I was a punk kid. That's right, Joe. You got a soft side now. Everybody knows it.
Fuck you. Oh, sorry.
Imitating my mother will get you nowhere.
And now we're completely off of Collector's Toy Shop.
Good night, Nebraska.
So, guys, these paintings are available. We've got original artwork. Hit me up with a DM if you want to know pricing, because original art is going up, up, up. Great investment pieces. But those are my two. Underrated people that I wanted to kind of highlight there. Thank you for the question, Luke. Tyler asks, have you guys noticed the art quality going down over the years with the big comic book companies than years past? John.
Yep. I mean, some of the stuff has gotten better, but I think people are trying to just throw more and more and more in there, more detail, more color, more, and the actual passion and the craft has slid.
Mr. Villainous Villains, how about you?
Oh my gosh. It seems like more often I'm seeing fantastic covers and interiors that are like, it's definitely, there's definitely selling books based on the covers now. They're definitely doing that.
Francine.
Like, there are some good books. There are some good books that are not as good, but I don't know. I think I only buy the ones that I think they are good. So I'm getting the good ones, but I guess there are some that they're not good.
Mustafa.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of what we talked about, how the pay is not commensurate with what they should be, like how the rates haven't gone up. I think they go for people they can afford and people they know that can knock it out and not stellar, but they hit their deadlines. A lot of times you see work on the shelves that is not as good as you think it should be. That guy hits his deadlines and they know the publisher. So hit your deadlines and get to know the publisher. You're going to be able to do it too, but then you also have to take a lower rate than maybe you want to take.
There was a Batman graphic novel about 20 years ago. Joe, you probably remember this. I'm not going to say who the fellow was, but it gave the biography of everybody in the book, the penciler, the inker, the writer, et cetera, et cetera. And when it talked about the penciler, it said, he's a commensurate, this is all it said, a commensurate professional who makes his deadlines, gets stuff in on time. That's all it said. Right. So I'll just leave that right there.
Well, you have to have a certain amount of sympathy for the editors, because I know an editor who said, yeah, that guy's better, but this guy meets his deadlines. And he doesn't need hell and ripping his hair out and what's going on and why don't you call, And, there's a publisher of another company who told me, I don't care who does the books. I said, why did you pay so bad? He says, I don't care who does the books, unless there's some superstar like Jim Lee or Frank Miller. So I'll pay what I feel like paying, and that's his attitude.
I think, go ahead, Joe.
No, that's it. I mean, just comic books, you got to love them to do them. And when comic book prices went up, like, from 10 cents to 12 cents, 12 cents to 20 cents, they never said, we're raising our rates to give more money to our freelancers.
Right.
They always say, we're raising our rates because paper costs have gone up, printing costs have gone up. So we can't control the printing, the distribution, the paper. Who can we control? These people who would die without us. So we'll cut their rates by 20% this month.
I think also a lot of it is that the comic books now become more of a commodity and an investment thing. When they're taking the money and they're investing on the covers because that's what people see. That's what makes the buy. And I think the interiors and the writing, unfortunately, sacrifices itself. Other than the good writers that are known, that have the name. Anyways, guys, we are going to do our draw. Love G. It's fantastic. And look at that one.
Game fries are done.
Somebody's phone is going on. Somebody get their phone. Pizza's ready.
Game fries are done.
And the winner, Mark Weindenhofer. Are you here, sir? Mark, if you are here, say win-win and pick your print, please. You win a free art print of one of our featured art prints. See if I
Just
can
give it to him because of his last name. It's been a hard life. Come on.
Oh, yeah.
Mark, are you here? We need Mark to say I win, I win. But I do have to make, guys, it has been a fantastic hour and a half. I know we should. Oh, Mark, there you are. All right, let's throw up the featured prints and let's see which one he picks. Don't worry, you're not hurting anybody's feelings. Thank you, Lefty. Huh? Oh, yes. Mark, please DM me your shipping information. I need to know your name and your address, or else I don't know where to send your print to. Pick which one you'd like, sir. So, guys, I don't know. While we're waiting for Mark to mull his decision over of who he's going to disappoint, I think this is good. Spider-Man. Oh, there you go. Spider-Man. There you go, Mark. You get the Spider-Man from Bob McCloud. That's coming your way. Thank you very much, sir.
Sure, if we're going to go obvious. Sure.
Obviously, Bob spent his 12 minutes elsewhere, and we'll have to ream him over the coals.
Ask his wife. All right.
Hey now.
Hey now.
Hey now.
All right. Okay, that's great, Mark. I appreciate it. Guys, any final thoughts before we go? Scratching of the chin. No thoughts.
I can say I'm going to be at a convention in San Antonio this weekend, Alamo Hero Con. I'm looking forward to it.
There you go. Anybody else going to be anywhere? Jamie, you're taking a knee this weekend, right?
Oh yeah.
Not disgusting.
I'm in limbo.
Oh, Mark, you're being a good sport, and we appreciate it. All right, guys.
I think the takeaway from today was Steve may have gotten older, but the personality didn't go anywhere.
And on that note, something you'll find in your fortune cookie the next time you eat Chinese food. It's been a great time. I want to thank everybody for their witty banter. Thank you for Joe keeping it somewhat in the PG realm. And we'll see you next Wednesday, 3 o'clock to 4:30 Eastern Standard Time. And also come out on Friday, 3 to 6, where we do our Lost Toy Box, where you can get some of these fabulous artist prints. Which
original.
Yes. Good night, guys, from the Great White North.